Ladies and gentlemen, Raila Odinga is our red man. William Ruto is raiding his governors. Just a few days ago, William Ruto was in Mombasa and in Kilifi, and he was accompanied by the governor for Mombasa, Honorable Nasir, and Gideon Mungaro of Kilifi. And one thing was clear during that event: the ease with which they were walking around. And today I was going through the national newspaper and I came across this story where Simba Arati, the governor for Kisii, was explaining why he's working with Ruto. Let me just read for you a bit of that story because it's going to form the basis of this analysis. The story says, Kisii Governor Simba Arati has defended his decision to work with President William Ruto, saying the relationship will benefit the broader Gusii community, which is okay. He's proceeding. Mr. Arati, who clinched the gubernatorial seat flying Raila Odinga's led ODM party ticket, said he will not make any decisions that will derail or disadvantage the community compared to other regions of the country. Is quoted as having said, "My critics are unhappy that I'm working with President William Ruto." And there's a part here, he's saying, I am in charge of Kisii County and Ruto is the president. What is wrong when two leaders work together? You know, those statements coming from Simba Arati is interesting because prior to the election, Simba Arati was one of those firebrand politicians. And just for the record, ODM as a political party made a decision that their governors were free to work with William Samoei Arap Ruto. But deep down, it's going to have serious implication. So in this video, I want to explain to you guys two things. Number one, why Simba Arati is working with Ruto, the real reason why he's working with William Ruto. And number two, why that working relationship is actually bad news for Raila Odinga. Before we do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, I want you guys to take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is now. Let us get back to the main issue. But before we proceed, the best way you can support this channel is the fourth day of the year 2021, the 2023. The best way you can support the channel is just by pressing that thumbs up button. Please just do that and also drop your comment for those who can. Why is Simba Arati working with Ruto? Simba Arati is a firebrand politician. Even his entry into Kisii politics was forceful. The truth of the matter is that it's Raila Odinga who prevailed on Simba Arati to leave Nairobi politics and go and contest in Kisii. Because Raila Odinga realized that Ongwae was not very stable, that people like Janet Ongera were frustrating him. And therefore he wanted a true soldier. And that's why he settled on Simba Arati. He knew so well that there was no way Simba Arati was going to yumba or to betray him, in quotes. But why is Simba Arati working with William Ruto? Because that was the least thing which was expected. Number one, development. And this is what Arati is saying, that, for example, if you read this article, he's saying that he's working with Ruto because there is, Arati said one of his key partnership with President Ruto is the establishment of a center of excellence in health education and training facility in Kisii. He noted that the project is part of the ongoing Kenya United Kingdom Health Partnership Alliance, which is set to revolutionize healthcare and training of health workers in Kenya. So he's continuing that the agreement to establish the health facility was signed in 2020 but has been delayed pending necessary approval. So basically he's seeking those approvals, and that's why he's working with Ruto. That's according to Arati. that he wants development for his people. But number two, which for me is the main reason why he's working with Ruto, is that he wants to counter James Ongwae and the group. You know, Simba Arati defeated Mochogu, who is the cabinet secretary for education. And the moment Simba Arati became the governor, he started working. He started countering us a few things. He started targeting some corruption aspect of the previous regime. When that happened, Ongwae and Ongera rushed and met with William Ruto. And during that meeting, Ongwae promised to work with William Samoei Arap Ruto. But how do you counter that? The only way to counter Ongwae and the group is actually by working with Ruto, because Ongwae was going to team up with Mochogu, and they were really going to frustrate Simba Arati. And that's the main reason why Arati rushed again to Ruto, because he's the sitting governor. Definitely Ruto would embrace him more than a former governor. And because now William Ruto has now embraced him, there's really nothing Mochogu can do. There's really nothing Ongwae can do. Ongwae and Ongera can just support Ruto now, but not over Arati, that they'll go to State House and tell Ruto that you don't have a governor there, you know, or Arati is opposing you, let us do this. They can't do that. So that's basically what Arati wanted to do. And number three, Arati is also keen on stamping his authority in Gusii politics. He believes, as the governor for Kisii, he has potential of becoming the Gusii leader. That was going to be thwarted if, for example, he were to engage William Ruto in political fights, which means Ruto was going to create someone else. Say even Ongwae, even Mochogu was going to be elevated. But now working with Ruto means Ruto cannot even plot against him. And the next time you'll see Ruto in Kisii, probably Arati will be the one speaking last. Because if you look at the governor for Nyamira, who is serving his second term, I don't think he has what it takes. But for Arati, he's actually stamping his authority so that nobody will emerge from the other side. And of course, on this other side, he will maintain his relationship with Raila Odinga. But why is this move by Arati to work with Ruto a bad news for Raila Odinga? Number one, you know, Raila Odinga has plans for 2023. And one of those plans is to continue with the People's Consultative Meetings. For People Consultative Meetings to succeed, Raila Odinga needed governors. He needed his key supporters, people who believes in him. I want to challenge you now. Do you think Arati can mobilize his people for these particular consultative meetings? I doubt, because he's already working with Ruto. Ruto will just place a phone call to him and he will tell Baba, I want to join, but I have a trip outside the country, so I'll give you my deputy or my team, they will work with you. Of course, he's going to disappear. And you know, Raila will really need people like Arati. He will need people like Abdul Swamad Nasir. He will need people like Gideon Mungaro. So for me, I tend to think that the biggest casualty would be Raila Odinga's planned consultative meetings, especially in Kisii and in areas where William Ruto is targeting. I know William Ruto is targeting Kisii, is targeting Turkana, Mombasa, is targeting Kilifi, and of course, Tana River and Kakamega. So that's number one. Number two, politics is a perceptional game. It's a game of perception. The fact that Arati is working with Ruto, Abdul Swamad is seen with Ruto on 2 consecutive days, Mungaru is seen with Ruto there, a perception is being created that ODM governors are embracing William Ruto. Which means tomorrow, if Raila will go out there and oppose Ruto, then the next day you see Ruto with ODM governors. What will you conclude? You will conclude that either those governors have left Raila Odinga, or two, Raila Odinga is not in charge or these guys are leaving Raila Odinga. And because politics is a perceptual game, the value of Raila Odinga is going to come down. For example, in Mombasa, I know Raila is planning to now use Shebal, who is a member of the East African Legislative Assembly. In Kisii, is ready to create another individual. And how will that sit with, for example, Simba Arati? I don't know, it's you to decide. And number 3, it will also give William Ruto an easy entry into ODM support base. The truth of the matter is that if there's one thing William Ruto is praying for, is to make entry into ODM support base. One of the areas he's targeting is Kakamega. In the last election, he even went further, and you know what he did in Kakamega? Even postponed the election in the hope that as a president, the voters of Kakamega were going to give him the seat. That did not work. Mombasa, he did the same. Kisii, I'm sure, William Ruto was sure that his candidate was going to win. But again, the ODM candidate prevailed. So it means now, if these governors will be working with him, he will make an entry. If you follow politics, when Joho Kingi, we had Joho Kingi, Oparanya, Nanok were fully in ODM. And they would resist any move by the government. You remember how, for example, Nanok lectured Uhuru in Turkana. It became very difficult for Jubilee at that time to penetrate those zones. After the handshake, then it was possible, because there was no way Raila could explain that he had handshake with Uhuru, but Ruto could not visit some areas, could not meet those people. This is exactly what is going to happen. Ruto now has a free entry into Raila Odinga's support base. You never know, like if you meet with Abdul Samad Nasir, you never know what they are discussing. You never know the kind of contact Nasir is giving him. So basically, he's going to have that entry. And lastly, it's going to, that particular message is actually going to affect Raila's political activities in Kisii. Raila Odinga's politics has always been designed in a way that the governors are the leaders in those respective counties. For example, in Kilifi, when Kingi was the governor, he was the leader. Mombasa, it was Joho. You go to, it was governors. So these governors would always organize events. When Raila Odinga is organizing events, they would always do that for Raila Odinga. But this time around, because Kisii, for example, because Arati is working with Ruto, and let's say Raila would want to go there tomorrow, I don't think the events will be as successful as if they were competing. Like if Arati had someone on UDA and he was in ODM, he would really work hard to ensure that ODM stands strong. I don't know what you think. That's my take. Thank you guys, and please may you have a good day. Bye-bye.